Welcome to Creeps and Crawlies, where reality turns to the dark and mysterious, where hopes and dreams are discarded to the ichor.
All right, so the podcast is called Creeps and Crawlies. It is supposed to be about chilling stories and ghastly content to excite and thrill viewers. So today we're going to be discussing genres that are available. And right now we have creepypasta, SCP, cryptids, folklore slash creatures, demonized phobias.
Oh, too. Right now, SCP and what's called the SCP and Appalachian Mountain, whatever the hell it's called. Those are gonna give really good stories. Yeah, I freaking love that one. I've seen so many of those things. It's freaking insane. I love it so much.
What is there anything you know particularly about SCP?
As of like, well, it has a crap ton of numbers. I think the highest I've seen so far was like 9,000 different specimens, or because they're numbered by digits. Like, for example, I think it was SCP-096 is the weeping guy or the crying shy guy, and basically just don't look at his face and you're good. You look at his face, he's gonna hunt you down. It's forever. He's like somewhat immortal or whatever. It's really weird. And then there's the immortal lizard. That's a well-known one.
Yeah.
And there's a crap ton of them, and when you think they have nothing alike, like this giant Godzilla-like lizard, and then the orange putty that looks like he's just the pure joyness of eternity. They're siblings somehow.
Are they
Whenever
really?
you think nothing is connected, it most likely is. So that's just a fun fact right there.
Yeah, see, this is kind of stuff that like I would have no idea about. I didn't really get a lot into SCP. However, I do know about some of the SCPs because a lot of them tie into the creepypasta fandom, which is our next genre. So the creepypasta fandom is basically horror stories surrounded by this one specific character, which was Slenderman, or otherwise known as the Operator from the Marble Hornets series. He's more of like a trying to think of the word for like what type of horror he was. Oh, analog horror. There we go. Slenderman is a type of analog horror. Yeah. And he started like way back with these like sets of pictures that were just like him standing in the background of like playgrounds and places where children typically play. And that's where people started to come up with the idea that he was the operator. And the operator character is basically someone who takes troubled teens or mentally ill people or sometimes even sane people who are just wandering about, and he basically makes them insane and he drives people crazy as some sort of like anomalous entity slash demon thing that like drives people crazy and makes them commit or draw pushes them to commit like horrible acts. Like I think one of the more popular ones that got removed more recently was Tiki Toby, which his backstory was something along the lines of he was an arsonist, he loved like creating fires or something, and then he like I don't know, killed his parents.
I did not know that about him. That's interesting. Yeah, overall about the fandom itself, not really. Other than overall topics like Jeff the Killer and Slenderman, I don't know anything else. I know. I know a little bit about the topic of analog horror. That's really cool, but I don't know anything in the actual subject itself.
Yeah. And I'm sure around the area, like where you live and stuff, there's gonna be a bunch of folklore and creatures and stuff. Just like, even horror, but folklore and like stories about creatures in the woods and don't whistle in the woods sort of thing, don't whistle at night, was definitely a big one for, I believe, Native American lore.
Oh yeah, the natives and other just not just indigenous people, but just people that live in one spot for a long time were really big on don't whistle at night and stuff and shit like that. Other sort of things.
Yeah. And that's actually another one of our genres is folklore and creatures, like local creatures stories, like Jersey Devil or alligators in the sewers of New York. And for Australia, I think that would be like the giant spider myths, like Aragog or something. Do you have any local folklore in your community?
Not really.
Really?
But like in my community, there's nothing like that, other than just be careful of actual murderers and stuff like that. But I am Hispanic descent. My entire family is Mexican. So there's the what's it called? There's like La Llorona, like be careful of hearing a weeping woman. And there's also
Oh.
the Chupacabra. Like we never really believed in it much, but they just say it as scary stories.
I mean, there's definitely a bunch of things to be afraid of, and like everyone's got their fears. Oh yeah, and there's plenty of like horror and stuff to be able to explore, and that's why we have this list of genres that we've been going over to kind of try and like chisel down what is available versus what I myself know as the host and what is more accessible for, Creative Commons so that we can post whatever we want. And that brings us to the next thing. We will not be able to cover all of these genres within the podcast, so there's going to be a time of the choosening. The choosening is when the viewers are going to vote and basically choose certain pieces of content that they might want to see next in the podcast.
Pretty cool. I never heard something like that. But what sort of thing I would pick? Probably analog horror is my favorite topic right now.
For analog horror, I think creepypasta and SCP, just because that's the one that's like most fan produced, because there's just so much content for that, and there's like thousands of horror stories and analog horror seasons and stuff to choose from. So out of creepypasta and SCP, which one do you think would catch your eye more?
Actually, I'd probably just go for SCP since I've heard about it for years and I've watched some of the YouTube videos about it. Meanwhile, creepypasta I've only heard about it like 5 times, I think.
And
how would you handle gore and stuff like that? Like if you need to get into bloody details or anything like that.
for stuff like that, we won't necessarily be covering the stories. So when we go and do the actual podcast, we're going to be talking about the content, and it's going to basically be like a how to survive informational. However, during certain holiday specials, I believe once a year, we will have a holiday special where we will cover a story. To be like clear, though, there will be certain content that isn't available on Spotify. So if you're a listener on Spotify and you're hearing this, all of the background noises and the sound effects that I add in, which will probably just be like that little TV drone you hear in the background, that will still be there, but in the Spotify version, it's going to be very censored. Mainly because this is going to be for a school project, so there's going to be some content that I'm not exactly allowed to show for the teen genre, because I'm not allowed to do mature or explicit content. So that content will have a sound effect over it, and this will be that sound effect. If you're listening to the non-censored version, that will not be a part of it at all. It may be a part of like periods of silence where I just want to do filler, but for the most part, it's just non-existent.
Cool.
Yeah. So the uncensored podcast version, which is going to be available on my own YouTube account, is going to be completely non-censored. It is going to be definitely mature and possibly for the holiday episode explicit, because I'm not going to hold back. If I write something down and it is the way it is, I'm a gore writer at heart. I've written gore before. I've done acting for like voice acting for gore and stuff like that. So when I do gritty details like that, it's going to be in the uncensored version.
Ah, okay. Actually nice.
Thank you. Oh, looks like we have another guest. Dragon, would you like to explain what the podcast is about? Since I've already explained it.
I barely have a grasp on how to explain it, but I guess just talk about horror sort of stuff, and then she'll go off on topics. Spooky stuff basically. Long story short, talk about horror genres. Like, have you ever heard of SCP?
Yeah.
Yeah, basically stuff like that. And then there's creepypasta and analog horror. But those were only 3 out of 5 or 7 that I've heard that I still remember. Hell yeah.
Right now, though, we're talking about creepypasta, SCP, cryptids and folklore.
Oh yeah, Smile Dog, guys, don't forget them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I love Smile Dog. Something that like really spooks me?
Yes.
That's a good question. As a
Like,
horror fan, I feel like I've seen it all, but then again, no, I haven't. You mean the Human Centipede? Get that away from me. Get that entire movie away from me.
What a good love movie. So romantic.
Bro.
It's more grosses me out than scares me.
Which one would you like to see most in a podcast?
Creepypasta.
Yeah, well,
2015, right now.
Let me explain first. The podcast won't actually be stories, it will be informational how-tos. Kind of like, how would you survive, sort of thing.
Well, I'm dying, so,
I like even more now, actually. I forgot about that part.
Yeah, actually, if you want, we can do a mock-up episode right now.
Like, how do you survive Jeff the Killer?
All right, everyone. Thank you for listening in to the bitter end of today's pod pitch. If you're interested in stuff like this, feel free to tune in next time for our first mock episode, starring today's guests, Sleepy and Disculpe Dragon from Discord. Sayonara, survivalists. Take care, and as always, don't be scared, be prepared.